Hey, folks, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. It's time for another episode of Just the Facts, ma'am. So, in this episode of Just the Facts, we're going to walk through a list of important facts related to what we covered in this section, and then we'll wrap it up. So, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So, when we think about the important points related to VPCs, the first is that we compared a network to a neighborhood. We talked about how the roads represent the network and how the houses represent the computers on the network. We also talked about how the cars represented the data that was moving back and forth through the network. So when a car leaves the neighborhood, it's destined for another neighborhood. Just like when the data leaves the network, it's destined for another network. Our single street with houses on it represents a subnet with computers. So we use those concepts to wrap up our networking 101. And then we talked about VPCs, and we looked at how VPCs are your piece of the AWS cloud. And we talked about how customers can create the resources that they want inside of a VPC. Now, whenever you create a new AWS account, a default VPC is created for you. You can create additional VPCs, but when you set up an account, a default VPC is created. VPCs cross availability zones, and you can create subnets within that VPC in different availability zones. We also talked about private and public subnets. Private subnets do not have access to the internet because they do not have a route that gives them access to the internet. Public subnets have a route to an internet gateway, and that internet gateway must be attached to the VPC, but the public subnet would then be able to access the internet. So a route to an internet gateway or no route to an internet gateway is what determines if a subnet is public or private. An internet gateway provides internet connectivity. Internet gateway can be attached and detached from a VPC. Route tables are used to direct traffic to their various destinations. So remember, we talked about how route tables are the GPS of your VPC. They provide the information necessary to allow traffic to be routed between the different VPCs or out to an internet gateway and ultimately out to the internet. Now, from a security perspective, network access control lists provide firewall type security. NACLs have rules that allow traffic into and out of subnets, and a NACL can be assigned to one or more subnets. So those are our key facts. If for some reason something that was mentioned here doesn't quite ring a bell, be sure to go back and take a look at the appropriate lessons. So that's going to do it for just the facts. So now it's time for us to wrap it up. It's time for us to wrap up section 5. So in section 5, we went through that overview of networking 101, and we talked about all the components related to a network. Then we did a conceptual overview of VPCs, and we tried to apply some of those networking concepts that we learned. And we took a look at how you get your own piece of the AWS cloud pie called a VPC. And we looked at how you put components inside of a VPC. We walked through and took a look at a default VPC, and we looked at how we would create a resource in that VPC and associate it with the correct VPC and availability zone, and as well as what subnet it would reside in. And we also took a look at internet gateways and route tables and how they work together to provide us with access to the internet for our VPC, and how route tables can also provide access to resources within the VPC. And we took a look at subnets and talked about the difference between public and private subnets. And we did a little bit with security groups. We mainly focused on network access control lists or NACLs. And we looked at how it controls what traffic goes into and out of the subnets within your VPC. And we talked about how it's a list of rules and how you can create numbered rules. And we looked at how there's a default explicit deny for any traffic that's not already listed on the network access control list as allowed traffic. So that's going to do it for this section on virtual private cloud. We've wrapped it up. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next section.